Hey everybody, this is Tony, and I'm here today with a special guest, Miss Angela Birchett, star of the Clark Sisters, First Lady of Gospels. How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Tony?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Now, of course, Angela, everybody, or at least most of the people in the world right about now, probably know your name along with the rest of the cast. The movie was very successful, one of Lifetime biggest movies in the history, actually. So,
Yeah.
how have you been taking in this success thus far?
Oh, just enjoying it. As it comes. I've gotten so many new followers and friends and fans of the movie, and then fans of me now. Um, so it's been really cool to meet new folks, and also, all my friends and folks have been, rocking ride with me for my career. They've just been rooting me on, and they're all so excited for me and proud, and always send really great messages. So I know that I'm new to a lot of people, but I'm not new to my career and what's been going on. So that's been pretty
Right.
cool navigating that.
Right. And then of course you have a background in like theater and Broadway and things like that. So
Hmm.
what was the transition like for you coming from that kind of world to the film world?
Oh yeah, it's very it is a transition. It's definitely has its similarities and differences. As
Right.
an actor, the intention and the honesty and the storytelling is the same, regardless where you're doing it. But the technique to it and the technical side of it is different. On stage, you're used to, playing to a very large room, or even if it's not a
Right.
large room, it's just people. It's energy, it's
Right.
live, it's live. As opposed to television, where your audience now is a lens, and you don't
Mhm.
have, unless you're filming in front of a live audience, which we didn't. um, that's a different mindset, that's a different set of skills. It's typically kind of smaller in terms of your volume and your physicality, and that does take a second to get used to when you know do theater more, or just came off of something, on stage, doing something on stage, which I had just finished a year and a half, a year plus another bout of time with Color Purple on stage. So,
Right. Right.
so I had to kind of make that transition quickly, but uh, it went once I got rocking and rolling, the first day or two was fine.
Okay. Okay. So before we get into the actual process of how the movie went, what sparked your interest in acting and in singing? Because you do both.
Yeah. When I was a teenager, many, many moons ago, um, I stumbled upon a summer program back home from my hometown, the great city of Detroit. And
Right.
that particular summer, there was a summer youth arts program. My mom signed my sisters and I up because black mamas don't play that. You're gonna be busy. You're not gonna be laying around all summer. So uh, went there just because it was saying, this is an arts camp, and it seemed really exciting. And that was the first place I was introduced to marrying singing and acting together. Um,
Mhm.
we were all kind of broken off into our own disciplines, but the culminating project was a full blown musical, and auditioned and got a principal role in it. And I believe I was the youngest in age, but playing the oldest character. And that
Mhm.
was when I realized, wow, like I can grasp this. I have a handle on this. I have good instincts as an actor. And it kind of started from there. And then I just kept doing it whenever I could.
Okay. So basically, you've been around for a while, like you said. Of course, people are getting to know you now because of the movie being so big. But like you said, you did the Color Purple on Broadway, amongst other things. So now you got a feel for pretty much everything at this point. So is there something that you like doing more as far as like acting or singing, or are they pretty much equal?
They're equal.
Okay.
I mean, I've done singing longer. Um, it's my stronger suit if I had to choose one. But I love them. I love all of it all the same because they all present different challenges, different circumstances, different pulls on different strengths that I have.
Right.
Uh, and I'm grateful that I've been blessed with the type of career where I'm able to do a bunch of different things. I'm not just doing one thing. But yeah, it's kind of neck and neck for me at this point.
Okay. So now let's talk about the movie, of course.
Yeah.
This was a very moving, touching story. Of course, the Clark sisters are some of the greatest gospel singers to ever live.
Yes.
But for people who might not have known them, this was still a story about love, about life, about music, and it was very touching and moving. So in this whole situation, what was the most difficult part for you?
Probably grappling with having to deal with very personal, vulnerable moments, and I can only speak for me and like who I played,
Right.
But knowing that for lots of people, this is the first time that they were going to see moments that are very disturbing and uncomfortable with, you know, abuse and the breakup of the family, like a layout of it. So I really had to take some time to kind of come to terms with that as an actor, and to make sure that I was thorough with my conversations with Jackie so that I could pull from the right place, both from my own personal experiences and from her account of hers, so that I could be honest in my storytelling. But that definitely, and as obviously, as you saw, it wasn't the only time that there was abuse. There was quite a bit,
Right.
You know, in the span of an hour and 40 something minutes of the film. So once I kind of just came to terms with that, I said, okay, you know, now I know where I can pull from to make these moments honest and kind of get out of the way of them, so that, you know, the audience can really feel what she was going through. And honestly, like every time I've seen it and it gets to, at least for the moment where I'm, you know, in a very uncomfortable, hard to watch moment, I kind of, it's like I'm watching someone else, because I really feel what's happening. I'm not thinking in terms of the moment of acting it, but just watching what's happening on the screen. And it was very moving, and it made me really feel for Jackie and what she had to overcome to get past that moment. And still, you know, she could have very well right then just said, you know what, I'm just going to separate myself from my family. We don't know what, you know,
Right.
she not found a way to overcome that moment and keep moving, you know, and growing and being with her family.
Right. And I think that's what the great part about this film was too, because like I said, even if you're not a gospel, you know, connoisseur, or you don't know who the Clark sisters are, you can still kind of relate to the story in some kind of way. You know, whether it's with the character of Jackie, or whether it's with the character of Twinkie, or whomever it might be. You know, you can still kind of relate in some kind of way, because we all have situations in our lives where we say, you know, I probably wouldn't want to tell this, you know.
Right. And
you know,
because these ladies, we've put them on this pedestal. They are, you know, perfect to us. They are legendary. They are iconic. And so a lot of times it's hard to see them in a real, more human issue, because we just, for some reason, we excuse them from that. And that's not, it just not, it isn't the case. It doesn't matter who it is. There are things that go on that you can relate to. You may have not experienced it specifically or in that way, but everybody has dealt with all these issues at somehow at some point in their lives. And I think this made the audiences, both the people who are already fans and people who are being introduced to them, love them even more, because it showed they weren't afraid to say, okay, we're willing to be transparent and share very personal, you know, and moments that are probably still uncomfortable for them to think about, to relive when they watch the film, and to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So during the filming of this movie, what was some of the best advice that you received, whether it's from Jackie or some of the castmates or whomever?
Man, that's a great question, because there were so many gems of moments. Gosh, probably when I was waiting, we were kind of waiting to shoot something, and one of the ADs, which is one of the people who kind of keeps everything on schedule. And this particular, there's several of them, but there's this particular person's job is to come to where we're waiting to get us ready to basically get in place to be ready to shoot. And
Okay.
at the time, all the sisters and Maddie were together. We were rehearsing the scene that we were about to shoot. And Ingenue was really trying to kind of rally us, you know, and kind of get our minds focused on what we're doing. And this guy like kept coming in to interrupt us, to say, hey, ladies, we need you on deck. And there was a moment where they needed me out of the group,
Okay.
but we were still working. And she stopped him and said, we need a few more minutes. Can you come back? And she was like very stern and very like aggressive. And I was like, oh, and he closed the door and she looked at me and she said, you don't let people rush you. I know they're telling you have to be somewhere, but this is important. They can wait. They can't shoot this film without you. So they can wait for you to do what you need to do. Do not let people rush you. Take the time that you need, because when it's time to shoot it, that's all you get. And then she carried on with whatever she was saying. And I was like, wow, you know, and at first I processed it as, well, you can say that. You're the first person on the call sheet. You're the star here. But that's not true. Right. People will treat you the way you allow them to. So regardless of where my name falls on the call sheet, the facts remain that I was doing something that was going to be toward the greater good of this film. So give me a second. And sure enough, as in that moment and several others, they would call us to be on deck and they weren't ready. And it's not anyone's fault. It's just when you're filming, there's so much to do technically before you can even get the actors in place to do what they need to do. So that was a lesson that I'll never forget. And I have used it since in a myriad of situations, not just on a job shooting something or, you know, on getting ready to go on stage.
Right. Okay. That's some very good advice, because you know that can happen, whether it's in acting, whether it's in singing, whether it's in any kind of situation. So you kind of have to let people know, hey, this is where I stand.
Right.
So that was some very good advice. As far as the role itself, though, was there anything that you took away from it, and that you learned about yourself in doing it?
That the most important thing for me to continue to do as an actor when I'm showing up for a character or I'm creating for a character is to be me.
Okay.
You know, now that can be a little tedious when you're playing a real person, like in this situation, because it's not you, you know, so you have to, the rule is a little bit skewed here, but it's still applicable. I, you know, not very far into the process of filming every day, I realized, oh, I don't have to imitate Jackie. Just from the work that I did before I started, I realized, oh, she and we happen to have lots of similarities in our voices, our speaking voices, our physicality, our humor, our just because we're from the same place. So I didn't have to remove myself completely from it. I could bring a little bit of me to the role, and it worked beautifully because as an actor, you really should be doing that. And it's something that I have put into practice more and more since we filmed that over a year and a half ago, that I don't have to, even if I'm playing some zany character that's nothing like me, there is something in every character that I can relate to something about me and bring that to it. Nobody wants to watch a version of something. They want to feel like they're seeing the real thing, real listening, real responding, real emotion, real feelings. And I definitely learned that early on and will never forget it.
Absolutely. But let me just say this. No matter what, you really nailed this part. I have to tell you that you really nailed this part, because like I said, had I not known Jackie, I would know what Jackie is like by watching you. Now, it may not be 100%, but I definitely think you got at least 99%.
Thank you. I was in Detroit this past weekend and I got a chance to stop by to see her. And one of her sons happened to stop by while I was there. And it felt really great to hear, because I mean, Jackie has said it, you know, what you said. And of course I appreciate that. And I'm to the moon about that. But to hear someone like their child say to you, it was amazing how you captured my mom. Like you had her down to a T. And I would just tell you that, I really felt like you grasped mom, who she is. And it was like watching my mom on the screen. So that really means a lot that you say that. And whenever I hear that, that's like the ultimate compliment for an actor, because, you don't ever want people to feel like, I just felt like I watched that person be them,
Right.
So it means a lot. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody did a phenomenal job. From Christina Bell playing Twinkie, from Raven Goodwin playing Denise, Shalea playing Dorinda, Anjanou Ellis. I mean, everybody did a tremendous job, and I think a lot of people knowing the Clark sisters in the beginning, when they said, "Oh, this is who the cast is, and this is who they're playing," a lot of people had opinions at that point and said, "Well, why this and why that, and well, shouldn't she do this and shouldn't she play that?" But I think that every single role was perfect for every single person, and it shouldn't have went any other way. So you all did a wonderful job. What was that like on the set during those singing scenes? Because you get in mixed in gospel music. So what was those scenes like for you guys? Not only as actors but as sisters. What was the atmosphere like doing those?
The performances.
Right.
Well, it was definitely. I was just on an interview this morning, and someone asked me like, what was my favorite part of filming? Like, what was my favorite scene? And I said, any of the performances. Okay. And it was like the five of us girls were like little girls those days, because we literally felt like we were playing dress up, but of our like most favorite singer, And right. I really it felt very like transformative to put on those wigs and dress almost exactly to the T how those ladies looked at several moments in their careers. It was very surreal. And it what definitely put the icing on the cake for that feeling was the fact that we were doing all of the vocals. Right. So not only, it'd been different if maybe, we were lip syncing to the Clark sisters or something, but it made it that more real that it is our voices that we're doing it, both in the studio and live when we filmed. And those were definitely some of my most favorite moments, because when would I ever get an opportunity to be a part of the recreation of album covers and YouTube videos that exist right now? That's super crazy. And to watch them, because we've all seen like stuff on YouTube, but to watch them now and literally see specific moments that were pulled from that for us to do is crazy. Like, it's still like, what? It's very, very wild to watch that.
Yeah, because it's already pressure enough to try to portray someone that is alive still, but right. Not only that, but you guys, like you said, performed the vocals, and you still were on key, on point. Everything sounded like the record. Yeah. So it was like shocking, like, wow, okay. So you all, I don't know where you had to go in your mind or in your body, but I'm glad that you went there. In this filming though, was there ever any point that you said, I just can't do this, or that you felt like you might want to say, or throw in the hat rather?
Yes. Actually, my very first day, my second scene of the whole day was my hardest scene to shoot for the whole film. Wow. And I'm just not a super like, I'm emotional, but not like in a crying way. Like, that's kind of like hard for me. I don't really do that. So, and previously, as I was studying, getting prepared to do the scene, the script didn't really indicate that I was going to have to like go there. Like, it just, I knew there was going to be some drama and, we were going to depict that, but I had no idea like what was coming. And so there definitely was a moment like in the meat of that scene where I had to just find it. And I was struggling. Honestly, I really was. And thank goodness for Anjanou. A couple of weeks prior, we had a rehearsal, just, sitting around at the hotel or wherever we were.
Mhm.
And we talked about that scene, she and we talked about, and I'm talking about the scene where I try to call the police and I get hit by my stepfather and put out.
Okay.
And she and I had a very long conversation about mother and daughter relationships. And the question I had posed for myself in approaching the scene was, you know, what things did I have to think about in my mind to fight for my mom? Because
Right.
I could have been the kid that ran. I could have been the kid that, you know, was crying and hiding with the rest of my sisters. But what made me go to bat for her and put myself in that position to ultimately be abused because I was attempting to stand up to my father. And
Right.
that was what she reminded me of in that moment. She literally, we were on a break, like in between shots, and she walked up to me, grabbed my hand and whispered in my ear some things that we talked about. And it was like a switch. She flipped on a switch. And it was like this whole like flood of emotion was coming, and she literally yelled to the crew, "Start rolling. We need to get this. She's ready." And I'm telling you, it was like once we did that, it was no holds barred. And when it was over, she said, "Girl, you did that. You're going to sleep good tonight because you gave everything you had." And I really did. So thank God, you know, that is what actors pray for. Other actors, scene partners who are gracious, who are giving, who see you struggling and say, "I know what to do to get her where." She didn't do it for me. She just helped me get there. You know,
Exactly.
And
yeah.
that was super cool of her.
Yeah, I think it's truly a blessing to have somebody like Ingenue who was seasoned. I won't say just in acting because you've done acting before, but as far as film, to be able to tap into some things or to help you, you know, lean on some things that you might not think of on your own and say,
Right.
"Oh, you know, you're right. I can use that experience." Okay.
You're thinking, because when you're in that moment, there's so much going on. It's not just like you're in a room. Even on a stage, it's different. There isn't cameras and people and small spaces. So, you know, if you're not, now I'm sure down the line, as I, you know, add more and more credits to my career, that I'll be that person to that young up and coming actress or actor. But in that moment, while I'm an actor, I had not been in that environment. So there was a lot to try to block out, keep in, move over here, compartmentalize over here. That's a lot when you're asked to be hysterical, you know, and crying and all. That's a lot to try to get all that out of the way, you know. And she just knew what to do to help me do that.
Yeah. Because even if you think about it in stage or in Broadway, rather, you know, you have to go through the emotions, but most of that stuff is like time to a certain point. You know, you like singing at a certain point. You know when to cut off, and then your set switches. So But in this point, you know, you like you said, you have so much going on, and then it's like, okay, cry. So you're like, okay, now what?
And I've been in a show, I've been in a, you know, theater show where I had to cry every night. And it wasn't hard. I did it, but that just goes to show you your environment plays a lot, I think, in your ability to quickly access that. In theater also, it was more real, you know, like it's hard. You'd have to know the show and understand that to make 100% sense. But in the movie setting, we're dealing with fight choreography and, you know, fake this, fake that, you know, so it's a little bit different than theater where it's a little more real. And so for some reason it was a little easier, probably because I'm used to working on stage and, you know, it's repetitive. So that same kind of thought process that I took myself through to get there at the same time, every night, 8 shows a week for months, is different from this one moment and then you stop and you do it again and again.
Exactly.
So they have options, you know, that's different. That's just a different way to process, you know. But it was cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool to experience and learn that.
So seeing your experience doing this movie, what kind of role are you looking to take on now as far as film is concerned?
Anything that challenges me, that is different from me. You know,
Okay.
I got a little lucky with this one because there were so many aspects of it that I already could pull from, that I already had.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to, do something that is completely, different from me, completely different from my upbringing, and just see, how I approach that, what that looks like on camera, because I've done that on stage, but
Right,
how
right.
does that look like? How does that feel? What is that process for the lens?
Absolutely. So I know this question might be a little backwards, but for you coming from theater, what made you want to audition for the role in the first place?
Well, I had done a little bit of television before, so I already was like on the trajectory of wanting to shift some of my energy away, not completely, but shift some of my energy away from theater onto television. So that was one thing, but also like this is a once in a lifetime project,
Right.
at least for me. Like there's probably people in the world who don't even know who they are, and maybe to them it isn't that important. It should be, but for me it was of utmost importance. So I definitely put my 100% into the opportunity, the possibility of me being able to do it. Because like I said, this type of role for a Black woman in America, come from the church, come from Detroit, where,
Mm-hmm.
our gospel, not just gospel, but our music history is just so rich. To get an opportunity to do that, like that's once in a lifetime. So I was prepared to do everything. If I didn't get it, it would have been some reason outside of me. They were, and so, but it all worked out. I didn't have to explore that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I believe that God was really in each of you guys' corner who got these roles because, like I said, it was meant, and I don't think I could see anybody else playing these particular roles because I never known your work before this, but seeing you in this role, I'm like, okay, well, I wonder what she's gonna do next. Like, that's what it brought out of it being so real and so good because if I had not known or had I known, I would have thought you would have been doing this for a million years. So that's just how well you guys pulled off the role. So it came out very real. And like I said, the story was relatable in addition to that. So it made it work.
Yeah.
So God was really in the midst of whatever was going on in those casting auditions and in those rehearsals and meetings and all of those things.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. As far as you and music and film, what's going on? What are you working on now, though?
Right now, because a lot of television theater are just shut down because of the pandemic. I mean, things are slowly starting to be reapproached and looked at. So I'm whenever things come in for my agent or something, I'll go on tape for things. But right now, and for the last couple of months, I've really, really been focusing on doing my live stuff. Like, a lot of people that saw the movie, this was, like I said, this was my first time. This is my introduction to them. So I think
Right.
some people think, oh, she's primarily an actor. But really my roots are in singing and singing.
Absolutely.
Lots of styles. I don't just sing musical theater or just sing gospel. I sing everything. So I've been spending a lot of time continuing to grow my live show that I already was doing before any of the quarantine stuff happened.
Okay.
To just, introduce that part of me to this new group of people. But also in the studio, it's time to go ahead and get it on wax and put it out. So that is a little more daunting for me because it's just one of those things that I always kind of put off, or I'm like, because I love live performance, but that's happening. So I've been kind of feverishly working at that to get things going. So a little while longer, and I'll be releasing some new music.
Okay. So are you looking for a particular sound or what are you kind of going for?
I'm doing and my sis Christina Bell, who plays Twinkie, she's kind of said it today. She said, "You're doing an Angie record, is what you're doing." I said, "You know what? You're right." Because my answer was, it's not going to be, just an R&B record or just
Okay.
jazz. anything and everything that I want to sing. So right now, the song that I think is going to be the single is definitely like a funk Prince inspired party song. It's not gospel
Okay.
at all. It's not anything like that. It's fun. It's funky. It's definitely, you know, it'll be like totally out of left field to some people, and to other people like, oh yeah, this is exactly what Ange would put out, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to hear people's thoughts and feedback on things. But yeah, it's definitely going to be whatever feels good to me and what I want to sing and what I want to offer as my, you know, my musical offering to everybody when it's
Right,
ready.
right. Yeah, I mean, and I think too, it now is the kind of time for that kind of thing too. Um, of course, we're in the pandemic is kind of slowing up now, but you know, with the movie situation, I think this is the right time to do that. And you have such a strong voice. I mean, you play Jackie, of course, and Jackie sings the bottom in the harmonies, but you can sing pretty much anything, really. So, I mean, I think people really are looking forward to hearing what you have to offer, though.
Oh well, I'm excited, and I hope people will receive it in the spirit that I'm offering it. And I think people will be surprised to really hear my voice because it's like complete opposite of Jackie. Uh,
Right, right.
so I'm excited to introduce that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm telling you this now, so I want you to remember this conversation because I'm giving you 6 months, and I'm just being generous with that 6 months, but I can guarantee you that your star is getting ready to rise higher than it already is.
Woo!
God is putting you in somebody's ears, eyes, somewhere that is
Yes.
about to rise your star. And I'm telling you, I know it.
Oh,
So just get ready
I
because you're
receive
going to
it.
look back and you're going to say, you know what? He was absolutely right. But
Yes.
this movie is just the beginning for what is about to happen for your career. And I believe that.
Thank you. I received that.
Mhm.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely. So before you go, though, just let everybody know where they can find you on social media, websites, all that stuff.
Yeah. So of course, Instagram, that's where everybody goes. You can just search my name, Angela Birchett, BIR, and they can find me there. On Facebook, same thing. My artist page is up and running. That's where I broadcast my live shows. We do a show about every 3 weeks on a
Okay.
Monday. So if you just look up Angela Birchett on Facebook, boom, I'm there. And pretty much anything you want to find on me is my name. My website, angelabirchett.com. Tons of performances, clips, sound clips, reviews, pretty much anything you want to know. Um, you know, music, performance, art wise is there. So yeah, that's where you can catch me.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is none other than Miss Angela Birchett. And thank you so much again for doing this today. You've been wonderful, okay?
Oh, thank you, Tony, for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. And when the music comes out, I want to see you back. And we'll talk about that and promote that and expand on that some more as well. But thank
Yes,
you again.
you are so welcome.
All right. Have a great rest of your day. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay.